And welcome aboard, Chris Denari, the TV voice of the Indiana Pacers, who um, didn't get quite the effort that fans had hoped in Game 5. It was Game 5, yeah, up in New York, which tough place to play, of course, but it was not really close.
No, it reminded me of Game 5 in Milwaukee, just a sort of a flat performance. Give the Knicks a lot of credit after the Pacers had blown them out in Game 4, a 32-point win on Sunday. You knew the Knicks and Madison Square Garden would be electric, and it was. And so now the Pacers, down 3-2, have a chance to even the series tomorrow night at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. They won a Game 6 back in the first round series against Milwaukee. But, Jim, that was a series clinching win. Now what they're trying to do is get a win on Friday to force a Game 7 at Madison Square Garden. And, if that could happen, there's been a lot of history between the Pacers and the Knicks in playoff series and Game 7s going back to the mid-'90s. So that's what you have to do. I'm confident the Pacers can do that at home. They've won 10 straight games at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. They won the last 5 regular season games. They've won the 5 games they played in the playoffs at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. So, hopefully they can have that happen. And then you go to a Game 7 on Sunday afternoon at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, our buddy Bob Kravitz was on with us earlier today, as he is each week, and he said he had previously predicted that the Pacers would win the Milwaukee series in 6 games and that they would win this series in 7. So he said he's sticking with that, and he certainly has the opportunity for that to come to fruition. Of course, the Pacers play a lot better in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, but those games that they've had at home, or at least the first, was not easy.
No, I mean, when you look at they needed the Nembhard 3-point shot last week, to win Game 3, and then dominated Game 4. They've been a good road team all year. They were 21-20 on the road. They had a 5-game road win streak late in the year. I mean, they had some impressive wins at Golden State, at Dallas, at Oklahoma City. They won at Milwaukee this year. They won at New York in the regular season. So they know what it's like to experience the road. Now, Madison Square Garden in a Game 7, just as we saw in Game 5, is sort of a different animal. But there's to some point, Jim, I think a loss is a loss. Doesn't matter if you lose by 1 or 30. But I think the Knicks getting blown out in Game 4 resonated with them at Madison Square Garden. And I believe that the Pacers getting blown out in Game 5 will resonate with them back at Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
Yeah, and looking forward to that, because there's nothing more exciting than a Game 7 in virtually every sport, as long as they don't turn into routes. But yeah. Game 7s are usually just it's just all in. You're hyper focused. It's do or die, and there's hopefully we get to that point, and the Pacers can come through with a win. The biggest thing has been the non-effectiveness of Tyrese Halliburton, as much as the Pacers would like to see. In the losses, he's just kind of not been himself. And I credit some of the credit, of course, goes to the Knicks.
Yeah, I think the defense, especially in Game 5, they used Miles McBride. I told somebody that if Tyrese Halliburton went into the concourse to the concession stand, that's where Miles McBride was going. He was offering no help, and they did some double teaming that I thought affected the Pacers. Tyrese has had, what you would say, I don't want to say poor games, but games where he wasn't like himself in Games 1 and 5. He was really good in Game 2 at Madison Square Garden, but the Pacers came up short. He had a 30-point game. He had another 30-point game in Game 3. And then in Game 4, I think he had 20. He didn't need to play the fourth quarter because the Pacers had such a big lead. But they will need more from him. Now, people are trying to compare him to Brunson. They are different players. Brunson is a one-on-one, pound the ball, get to the paint and score. Tyrese is a free-flowing point guard who is as happy getting 12 assists as he is his scoring. But they're going to need more of his scoring like we saw in games 2, 3, and 4, not what we saw in 1 and 5.
Yeah, and this is a young Pacers team that does not have a ton of playoff experience. Tyrese Halliburton, of course, this is really his first foray of leading a team through the playoffs, and it's a growth experience. It takes Michael Jordan, a great example. You know, when he came into the league, as great as he was going up against guys that were still better, that had better teams, and they didn't really get going until they got past Detroit, after Detroit had that run. So it takes a little bit to gain that experience, especially when you got to get it.
Yeah, I think that the only two players really of the top 8 or 9 that have significant playoff experience would be Miles Turner, all of those with the Pacers, and of course Pascal Siakam, who won a title in Toronto. But you look at somebody like Aaron Nesmith, while he may have 20 plus games of playoff experience, 2 years of that was with Boston, where he had a very limited role. Same with Obi Toppin. He had a very limited role when he was with New York. For Isaiah Jackson, Nembhard, Halliburton, Ben Shepherd, this is their first playoff experience. And you counter that on the other side, Jalen Brunson's approaching 50 games that he's played in his playoff career. So now some people would say, hey, you're now in the playoffs. You're not necessarily a playoff veteran, but you do have a little experience. That's true. But none of these players have ever been in a situation they'll be in tomorrow night, and that's an elimination game. Remember, against the Bucks, they never were facing elimination, but tomorrow night they will be facing elimination, and so that's a different mindset that you have to take into that game. Even though it's one game and you've got to approach it as that, in the back of your mind, you know that if you lose, your season is over. So I think this has been a great growth opportunity, Jim. I still think they're very capable of getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. They are capable of winning tomorrow night, and they can win a Game 7. But all in all, this franchise is really ahead of schedule. I don't think anybody at the beginning of the year would have predicted that they would be in the final 8 of the NBA going into mid-May. And so that is something that, you know, we'll think about once the season is over. But I would have to say at this point, it's been a really strong season, and it can be stronger if they can win tomorrow night and then somehow win at Madison Square Garden on Sunday.
Yeah, that would be an incredible and highly unexpected result for the Pacers. I mean, not that I'm saying that they are without talent and they're in the playoffs, but to make the conference finals as a 6th seed, that's unexpected. When you look at it, not from fans, of course, but outsiders probably don't expect the Pacers to be in that position. But that's irrelevant, and the Pacers have the opportunity to do that, and that would be pretty damn incredible to make it that far for this young team because, man, I just talked about experience and being able to go into a Game 7 with that on the line, on the road, and pull that win out. Well, that would be exceptional experience for next season.
Yeah, and you want to take advantage of what you have in front of you because, as we all know, nothing's guaranteed. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. You don't know about injuries, all those kinds of things. I mean, think back to the Pacers back in 2013 and 2014. They back-to-back go to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then in the summer of 14, Paul George breaks his leg. All things change. The whole franchise changed because of that one injury in Las Vegas when he was with Team USA. So you're right, Jim. You have to think about the here and now and what the Pacers are trying to accomplish. And yes, they've had a great season. They've done far more than anybody thought, and the future does look bright. But again, nothing's guaranteed. So try to take advantage of what's in front of you right now and do the best of it that you can with that.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and thank you for enjoying our content and videos. And make sure you hit that subscribe and notifications toggle so you don't miss out on anything, whether it's Indiana Hoosiers, the Boilers, the Colts, the Pacers, Indiana high school action, whatever's happening in sports. We're trying to bring it all to you, and make sure you don't miss out on a thing. Again, hit the subscribe button for us. Helps us out a ton. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much.